Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jai Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय योग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत गीता की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So we are reading from chapter 10, text 23. Rudrāṇāṁ śaṅkaraśasmi, Rudrāṇāṁ śaṅkaraśasmi, vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām, vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām, vasūnām pāvakaś-cāsmi, vasūnām pāvakaś-cāsmi, meru śikhariṇām aham, meru śikhariṇām aham, rudrāṇāṁ śaṅkaraśasmi, vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām, vasūnām pāvakaś-cāsmi, meru śikhariṇām aham. Cāsmi, vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām, cāsmi, cāsmi, vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām, asmi vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām asmi vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām Mataji, rudrāṇāṁ śaṅkaraś cāsmi vitteśo yakṣa-rakṣasām rudrāṇāṁ śaṅkaraś cāsmi Word meaning Rudrāṇām of all the Rudras, śaṅkaraḥ, Lord Śiva, cha also, asmi I am, vitta-īśaḥ, the Lord of treasury of demigods, yakṣa-rakṣasām, of the Yakṣas and the Rākṣasas, vasūnām, of the Vasus, pāvakaḥ, fire, cha also, asmi I am, meruḥ, Meru, śikhariṇām, of all mountains, aham, I am. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Śiva. Of the Yakṣas and Rākṣasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru. Please repeat. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Śiva. Of the Yakṣas and Rākṣasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru. Purport. There are 11 Rudras, of whom Śaṅkara, Lord Śiva, is predominant. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. The leader of the Yakṣas and the Rākṣasas is Kuvera, the master treasurer of the demigods, and he is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Meru is a mountain famed of its rich natural resources. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this chapter is entitled The Opulences of the Absolute. So the middle 6 chapters, as we have heard about Bhagavad Gita, are the cream of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is talking about directly devotional service. So 9th chapter was the most confidential knowledge, in which Krishna describes about devotional services. And now in this chapter, Krishna will describe about his opulences. नहीं आ रहा है? Sorry? Hare Krishna. I think कुछ गूंज रहा है. Yeah. So here Krishna will describe about the opulences. And also in this same chapter we have the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10.8, 9, 10, 11 we discussed about that. And then Arjuna is asking, Then Arjuna is asking to Krishna to explain about his opulences. What Arjuna is telling, "O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand you personally." So he is admitting Arjuna is a great devotee, and we all know that he is asking these questions for the benefit of humanity in general. He himself it's not that Arjuna was not aware of the science of soul. Arjuna was aware of, but this conversation between Arjuna and Krishna was for the benefit of the humanity. So here he is telling that it is not easy for demons or the demigods to understand your opulences. So kindly tell us more about you. This is another quality of a devotee, that he wants to hear more and more about the Lord. That comes bodhayante parasparam, tushyanti ramanti cha. That is the most important quality devotee should have, that he is inclined to hear more and more about the Lord. The way Parikshit Maharaj, he forgot to eat, forgot to sleep, and he was so absorbed in hearing from Sukadeva Goswami that he just went on describing Krishna's pastimes. And then Arjuna says that, "Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe." He's still describing, please tell me, Arjuna is telling, please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. So Arjuna is very intelligently asking this question, that tell us something which we can relate every day with you, from the material manifestation also. Wherever we go, we should just think about the Lord. This is what he's asking. What he's asking? Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all this world. Everywhere you can see the presence of the Lord. That is his question, that how to do that. Tell us more about that. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I consistently think of you? Because he didn't want it that only when I chant I remember you, only when Bhagavad Gita class I remember you, only when I am taking darshan I remember you. He's asking, because Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam. So he's asking now, how? O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered? So he's taking that permission, that is this the only form which I am seeing, is in that I can remember you? Or there are more forms which is possible where I can remember about you. Tell me about all those forms. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, please. Then, O Janardhan, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satisfied in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So, this is why Srila Prabhupada gave us this program. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Morning we have Bhagavatam class, evening we have Bhagavad Gita class. So more and more we hear about the Lord, more and more we listen from the devotees about the glories of the Lord, more our faith enhances, more our devotion increases in the Lord, more our love increases for the Lord, the more we hear about it. This is a simple process. There is no other thing. We might think, oh, I cannot develop that love, but if we are following the basic process, it is natural that it will come. There is no escapism to it. It is given. If we follow this process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, it is given that faith will be increasing in the Lord, and gradually we will start developing more and more love for the Lord and His creation. So the process is Shravanam Kirtanam. And then Krishna starts describing. So today, from slok number 19-20, Krishna describes about his opulences, how we can see him. And today's verse is describing that of all the Rudras, I am Lord Śiva. Of the Yakṣas and the Rākṣasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am the fire. And of the mountains, I am the Meru. So this shloka has in general, this chapter, if you will read, Krishna is describing in a way that is best of the category. Any category which he is discussing, he is the best in that. So, we should not think that which is less important is not energy of the Lord. More or less, it is all emanating from the Lord. But here he is describing that what is best, like in the mountain, here it is written Meru. So we hear about Meru that it is a mountain made of gold. Sumeru also, it is called Sumeru. Sumeru, even in our beads, the main bead is called like that, right, which we don't cross over. What do we call that bead? Right? We call like that. So we don't cross it over because it is Krishna, like that. So he is best of all the categories. So in this material world we see there are different categories of animals, different categories of birds, different categories of rivers, there are so many categories. But in all of these categories, Krishna is describing that whatever is best is me. So that we can relate. Like for in the house, the chief of the house is the main person. He is supposed to be the best. So when you relate with that person, you relate with the entire house. Each and every member of the family, may it be, for example, Narendra Prabhu is the head of the family. Then if you relate with him, that means you relate with the son, you relate with the son's wife, his children, his wife, the entire family. So it does not demean the other members of the category. This is what we are trying to understand. So when Krishna says, I am the best in the category, that does not mean that we cannot see Krishna in the other things. Like if Krishna says, I am the Sumeru mountains in the mountain category, that does not mean that when we see other mountains, we cannot see Krishna. In other words, this is strongly emphasizing that Krishna is present everywhere. In every being, Krishna is present. This is what Krishna tells. Before Arjuna asks, Krishna is already telling that everything material and everything spiritual is from me. But then Arjuna is asking in detail. So Krishna is describing. But we have to be very clear that every single thing we have to learn to be appreciating that it is the creation of the Lord. That is what, when Arjuna asks, how you pervade across in the material manifestation, tell me more about that. What other forms we can see you? What other forms can we see you? Because it's not that every time we are present in the temple or standing before the altar taking darshan. So Arjuna wanted Satatam. How? On the battlefield, now you are asking me to fight. How will I see you there, fighting with these people? So it's a very practical question, that how we can see presence of the Lord every time. So Krishna very mercifully is expanding this whole chapter, opulence of the Absolute, that how he is present in everything. So he starts with Shiva. So like Shiva is considered to be manifesting from Brahmaji, like when Brahma had these 4 Kumaras and he wanted these 4 Kumaras to increase the progeny, to expand more and more population on the universe. But then these 4 Kumaras decided to remain brahmachari, and that was not very well received by Brahma, and Brahma was little angry with that. But somehow the 4 Kumaras did not get convinced to change the ashram from brahmacharya to a grahastha life. So he was little angry, and from that anger, the Rudra manifest. And so it is combined swarup of ignorance and passion. Brahma was little angry at that time when they didn't agree with his own son, 4 Kumaras, and Rudra manifest. So Rudra also means cry. He was crying, and he also makes cry. He's a empowered personality to create destruction, Lord Śiva. So, and Śiva has also many good qualities because he is one of the greatest Vaishnava. So, like Krishna has all 64 qualities, but then other demigods have less, but Śiva is special in that category. He is in between the Jiva and the Supreme Personality. So the 5 qualities which Śiva has is He is always situated in constitutional position. He is all-knowing, so he is also Sarvagya. He is always young. Shiva is also always young, Navyovanam. Then he is also Sachidanand. Shiva is also Sachidanand Swarup. And he also has all mystic powers and potencies. So this is the 5 special things which Lord Shiva has, which also Krishna has, but Krishna has in full. Shivji doesn't have in full, but still he has partially. He has these qualities in partiality, which other Jiva doesn't have. That he is all-knowing, always situated in constitutional position, he is Sachidanand, always young, and all mystic powers and potencies. So this is something special about him. And Rudra is anger, so regarding he personifies anger. So we devotees are not allowed to be using the anger in general, but in rare cases we see that devotees like Hanumanji has used the principle of anger, but that was used for the pleasure of the Lord. The objective was not to take his own advantage or to prove that he is somebody capable of defeating Ravana. That was not the mood of Hanumanji, but the mood was to serve Lord Ramchandra. So this principle of anger has to be used very sparingly, and at least specifically for devotees who are not very much advanced should rarely use it, because that will only doing more damage to our consciousness. So when we show anger, which is for our own fulfillment of lust, as Gita says, only we become angry when our lusts are not, when our desires are not fulfilled. So then only the anger manifests. So we have to be very careful that this anger should not disturb us, because if we are, and anger is generally visible through the eyes. Even if somebody is controlling, anger he tries to control, but still we can make out seeing the eyes of that person, because it depicts in the eyes. So this principle of anger has to be moderately, or not, not moderately, but even best is not to use that in our dealings among the Vaishnavas. And it is very dangerous if we try to use it in our dealing with the devotees, because it can harm, or it can finish all our good qualities. It is that bad to be angry on someone, because when we try to be angry on someone, we are trying to become the master of the situation. But our principle is das dasanudas. That is the consciousness we have to cultivate, that I am the servant. So if anybody is asking us to do some service, we should be ready to be doing it. There is nothing special that, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. This categorization when we do, it creates anger. So when Krishna is describing this category, he is making it clear that everything is Krishna. So he is describing, in animals I am this. He will cover every single thing. When we observe this chapter minutely, he will be covering everything is me, nothing else. This is where Krishna wants our consciousness to be raised to. We cannot tell that Krishna is not here. Like once, Srila Prabhupada says that even these people, if they want to drink wine, while drinking wine, they should think of Krishna. So the point is consciousness. If we are not drinking wine, we are following some good principles, but if we are not meditating on the Lord, what is the benefit? So the purpose is to be Krishna conscious. So all the rules should take us to this principle of Krishna consciousness. That is why Krishna is explaining that I am all pervading. I am pervading entirely across the manifestation. Everything you see is nothing but me. Because there is other sloka where it says that Pandita Shamadarshina, in all living being, Krishna is there. Krishna is present as Paramatma, he has expanded himself in each and every species we know or we don't know. Krishna is, otherwise how will it move? He is the consciousness, is the principle which makes the thing alive and producing, growing, decaying, and finally dying. So it is very important that we understand that whenever we are trying to be angry on any situation, that means we are trying to be becoming master of that situation. Otherwise, how will we become angry? Sometimes we may feel that, oh, servants also get angry. That means they are trying to become master, as simple as that. It's not that just by assuming some menial service, we are accepting that we will never become angry. The real menial thing means you just keep serving. Whatever situation is arranged, you keep serving the Lord, assuming that this is arranged by the Lord. Because He is the controller. He is present in everything. Everything that has happened is just by His sanction. That is the principle we have to understand. Otherwise, we are ourselves debating from the chief principle that Krishna is the controller. If we are trying to be using this principle of anger in our devotee dealing or dealing with anybody, that means we are defying this very basic understanding that Krishna is the controller. So, it is said that, okay, Hanumanji became angry, he went to the Lanka, he put Lanka on the fire, but his focus was very clear. He was instructed by the Lord to achieve a task, and for achieving that task, he was exhibiting that. Otherwise, he has no business for his personal enjoyment. He has nothing to prove that he was a competent servant of the Lord. Even after doing it, he never felt that he was a competent or very, very efficient servant of the Lord. So it is all about consciousness. With what consciousness we are executing a service makes us more and more Krishna conscious. It makes us more and more appreciative of the Lord. It makes us more and more appreciative of the devotees we are connected to. And it makes us more and more Krishna conscious. So that is the sum and substance we are trying to understand today. Then another example given here is Kuvera. Kuvera is a yaksha. So yaksha is said that yakshas are divine personalities. They are between humans and demigods. They are not like demigods, not like empowered like demigods, and not like us humans, but they are in between. Kuvera, and Kuvera is like yaksha and rakṣasa. Two words is used here. So Rakshas is like Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan and Surpankha are considered to be the siblings from the same family with Kuvera. So they are like from one family, but he is yaksha and they are rakshasas. And Kuvera has two sons, Nalkuvara and Manigriva, we know that. So among this category, Krishna is putting himself as Kuvera. So he is a very important, and then we also know this has also connected with Vidurji, this pastime, that he was also in the category of that, and has some punishment they manifest in this life like Vidura. Sumeru I already explained that Sumeru is the biggest mountain and it is made of gold, pure gold. And here Srila Prabhupada writes about this mountain that Meru is a mountain famed for its rich natural resources. So in general, mountains have a lot of natural resources for the subsistence, and from that Krishna is putting himself as the best mountain. But as I said, that this is just one category, but the principle is that Krishna, all the category and everything in the category is from Krishna's energy. Nothing is independent of the Lord, and it can be seen when we understand the principle that everything is manifesting by Krishna's energy. And for a devotee, it is still easy to understand that when we are chanting, the Krishna's name is different, non-different from the Lord. When we are doing deity worship, that is directly worship of the Lord. But this is very important for people who are not fully Krishna conscious. This question, how we can see Krishna everywhere? Sun, moon, trees, birds. So everything Krishna is connecting with himself. So the all-pervasiveness of the Lord is the key message from this shloka. And these four categories which is covered here, we have touched, and the fourth is Agni, fire. So, fire every day we are using for some or the other thing. So when we are using fire, we should try immediately relate the Lord. Like for the fire, he also says in 15th chapter that I am the fire of digestion. So we cannot even digest our own food without the mercy of the Lord. We cannot even digest our own food. Because he gives the fire of digestion comes from the Lord. Vaishvanara heat. Prabhupada writes it in the purport. Vaishvanara heat. So basically, everything that we see, which is manifested in this material world, is nothing but Krishna's energy, and Krishna's presence in all of those has to be understood. So when we connect this principle, now we have started this project of farm community on the Ajay land. So this is a very important principle which our devotees who are living there are trying to follow. Like even a small grass which is growing there, we try to understand that this also has Paramatma in it, so we cannot even damage that. Even the small insects which are coming on the crop, it also has Krishna's presence in it, so we cannot even kill those insects, because the modern education says that they are weeds, they are pests, so we have to kill them. But this is against the principle of Krishna consciousness. So this project is in a way encouraging devotees to very much relate with this creation of the Lord, because when you live on the land, you live with the cows and the bulls, you can feel that how Krishna arranges things. But in the artificial city life, it is very difficult to relate this aspect. But in the rural environment, in the village environment, where we live a life depending on Mother Earth, depending on Mother Cow, depending on the nature for our survival, that enhances our consciousness very fast, very quickly. 2 days back we went to a village which is like Ranwari. It's very near when you go to Chhata on the left. And not 2 days back, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we went, and it was raining heavily. It started raining. And we were in the village, and there were a lot of fields around, and we asked the villager, so will this rain damage the crop? He said, no. Thakurji is arranging this rain, then how it can damage anything? But in general, we city people think that this rain is detrimental. But it was a very surprising answer for me. Such a high level of understanding he had. He said that when we were doing farming long back, every farmer was clear, they were making like rounds for plowing with the bulls. So they know that few rounds are for me, and as we come in the center, one round go to the temple, one round means that farming when they are plowing. This round is for the birds, this round is for the cows. So they were clear consciously, and they were never used that for their own consumption. This was the consciousness of people. But now he said, but now they are doing everything for their own consumption. So then nature is behaving the way it has to behave. It wants us to bring that to the same level, that whatever grows is for all the species, it's not only for humans. But today human farm only for humans. We think that all others should not come. Monkeys no, birds no, boars no, nobody, we want nobody on our land. But then originally this was forest. This were Dvadasha Kanan, they were all 12 forests where Krishna was performing his pastime. So it belonged to all the species Krishna has given birth to, 84 lakh species. But today, I relate this with the answer now, that today the way we farm is only for humans. So there are so many uncertainties which we see. But that is a rectificatory process. But like when we get disease is a purificatory process. It is signifying that you have done something wrong. You have consumed wrong food, or you are following a wrong schedule, so the diseases are coming. Otherwise, diseases are not forced on us. It is a wrong decision taken by us which gives us disease. So if we rectify that, we will be cured. So similarly, that farmer told me, rain, no problem. Whatever has to go, has to go. Krishna wants it like that. So this understanding that everything is controlled and manifested by the Lord is very, very important point. But this is very easily understood when you live on the land. This farmer, I am sure he was, if he describe in our terms, he was not wearing kanthi, he didn't have bead bag in his hand, he was not having tilak. But he spoke such a high principle yesterday, that how can Krishna do anything which is detrimental to the society? Everything is happening is just perfect for this time, and so it is happening. Okay, we can end it here. We can have some comments and then questions. Yes, comments? Yeah, as I understand, there are 11, and he is one of them. But he is the principal also. He is the principal, Shiva. He is the principal of the... Sorry? Yeah.
Very difficult to think that Krishna is arranged.
Yeah. So this is what I'm telling. Yesterday this rain came, but he was thinking like that. So it's all about conscious, how Krishna conscious we are. So if we are not able to relate to that, that means still we are struggling with the consciousness where we accept that Krishna is the controller. And then once you do this, I also spoke to one of the farmer. I mean, he's our good friend. He's from south. So he said that everybody are chasing out boars. In their village, there are a lot of boars. Boar, suar bolte hain, suar? Boars in their village. And generally people think that they also damage the field. He said that I never chase anybody out. And whenever boar comes to my land, he does no damage. He just comes, eats his thing and goes off. But if he goes on the other land, he's doing certain things which is not acceptable to them. But when he comes to my land, but because he is following this principle, he is following even higher principle. Whatever falls from the trees, he eats. He says that is my share. Whatever stays on the tree, the birds are allowed to be eating. So he is a person with that kind of consciousness. And so he is happy. He said, I never struggled with my food. But it's all about this consciousness to understand that Krishna is the controller. It is bringing us to the same point again. But when we think that monkey is coming, is damaging, that means we think that monkey is independent of Krishna's creation. This is what we have to understand. Though we are not able to relate now, but if logically we analyze the situation, that means we are analyzing that he is independent of Lord. But that is also not correct understanding. So when we are not following the principles, we feel these challenges. But as this person still, that the boar are coming on my field, but they are not doing any damage. Because he is following the principles of farming fully. So he doesn't use any irrigation, he doesn't plows, he just allows things to grow, he doesn't remove any species that grows on the land. He allows every species to live their life. If the birds are coming to eat something, he is allowing the birds to eat. So he said, we have abundance. I don't have to purchase anything. Everything I can maintain from that small 2-3 acre land I have. And he is living peacefully. No work. He is not irrigation means no work. Not removing weeds means no work. Not chasing out animals means no work. But every year a new tree, new plants are growing. Because whenever these different species come, they put some seeds. So Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father. So Krishna seeds through different species. So when a bird comes, he will put some stool and some tree will grow from there. Any species that comes has to perform this function of seeding. They are performing on behalf of the Lord. When Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father, what does that mean? This is how it multiplies. Krishna uses us all as a tool to perform his function of expanding the creation. So even we humans were supposed to be using fields for passing stool and urine. So we were also seeding, actually, but now we have stopped our function. And so our food has degraded in the quality, the kind of nutrition we want is not there. Scientifically now they say that anything which is not growing from the stool of any species is not healthy. They have accepted it already. So all the seeding happens through stool passing by different species. So we put cow dung now. So we want bacteria, so when they pass stool, excreta, it fertilizes the soil, it improves the fertility. That is the process. But now we were educated that this is something, detrimental. But so now they are feeding poop pills. I don't know, have you heard of that or not? Because we are lacking the required bacteria in our body. So now they are feeding us poop pills. मतलब मल का capsule खिलाया जा रहा है हमको. You can find on Google this. There are poop pills available now. Because without life in the body, what will we do? Today what we are consuming is all dead. So this rebel against the system has reached to this level that now we are forced to eat stool. And when the doctor says, we happily do it. Because he is somebody very special for us. But when Krishna says, it's difficult to accept. So, because we are being raised in such a consciousness that everything we are taught is just against Krishna's system. So we have to undo it. We have to connect it to Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada was emphasizing so much on chanting, as devotees association, living a simple life of land with cows, depending on that system, depending on that for living your lifestyle. Then that consciousness will evolve to, see this farmer, I am sure he has not attended any of our program. But he said like this, it was an amazing answer I have ever heard from a farmer like this. How can you damage this? You will only damage what Krishna wants. And every single person of us here sitting are thinking like this is an untimely rain, this will damage, they will be lost, they will be becoming more, but he was not thinking like that. So you are poor from your thought, you are rich from your thoughts, right? So how we relate to a situation makes us happy or miserable. So he was happy. Sorry, Hima?
Someone might say he has blind faith.
Ah,
But actually he has unconditional surrender to Krishna.
yes.
And over the years he has seen
Yes.
it is not blind faith.
Yes. His faith has increased, yes. Somebody might think, as very valid point, somebody might think that this is blind faith. Certainly people who have not enough understanding about Krishna consciousness, he will think like this. There is no, and this is how the whole society is trained. So nobody will believe this. Nobody will believe this. They will all say that he is not enough intelligent. He has not gone to school. Prabhupada says, if you can learn from the nature, there is no need to go to school. So nature is the best teacher. Huh? Yeah, he is feeding the whole society. Farmers are feeding the whole society. If they are not producing for us, what are we eating then? What are we offering to the deities? Nothing we have. They are producing for us, yes. They are the most intelligent. I mean, they have adopted the correct profession. That is a real profession to be doing. Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam. These are the only profession permitted for a Vaishya class. So they are the real intelligent people actually. Despite of the odds and evens, they are sticking to it. Yeah, he is aware of that. So farm never have fences. Most of the farms now, because the consciousness is getting more and more deteriorated, because a lot of materialistic thoughts are reaching out to villages also now. There is television, there is mobile, there are roads, all the rotten food is going from cities, biscuits, wafers, whatnot, all processed food is going from cities now. So they are eating that rotten food and they are also now getting degraded gradually. So for us, followers of Srila Prabhupada, it's very, very important to try to connect to this principle of farm and land, where we can see this all-pervasiveness of the Lord, and that certainly enhances this consciousness, where we can see Krishna's presence and intervention in every single thing. Like for us, for our farm, we were planting seeds on Sunday. Some of us were thinking, why we are planting now? It is not rainy season, but still we did it. We thought we will, even if it is not raining, what are we losing? And we did it on Sunday, and then it started raining on Monday. So we are also very happy in that way, that we wanted to water the field, and it came. So we are trying to stick to certain principles there now of cow protection, that cow should be always on the land, she should be fed properly 24 hours a day, access to grass and water. So these small changes we are trying to bring on their project, and it is very encouraging for the devotees who are already there and they are enjoying there a lot. So whenever you find time, you also try to visit there. So, yes?
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the very inspiring class. If I may ask two questions. One is, when you were speaking about the farmer, I couldn't understand. You were saying he was leaving some rounds for the animals.
Yeah.
What did it mean, rounds?
Yeah, okay, I explain. Say, for example, this room is the field. So when they plow, they plow from the corner. This is what he explained me. They start plowing from the corner, one round, then they make second round, third round, and they end in the center. Like a jalebi, yeah, good example. It's like a round, they keep making round. Like a jalebi. Jalebi is a good example, yeah. So, and we can relate also. So the inside round, the most inside round was for the cows, then the next round was for the birds. Like this, some system, third round was for brahmanas and the temples, and the outside 4 or 5 rounds was for his family, like that. That was the culture. But now people have stopped that. So he said that nature is rectifying that if you are not following the principles, what you are supposed to be following, then anyhow you will not get that.
You will not get?
Yeah, because now the grain will be less when this rain comes on a time which they don't want it. So the production will go down. He cannot enjoy more than what is destined. That was his main point. That whatever is destined, we will get.
Oh.
Lord Krishna is controlling it. Like that. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Ah,
Thank
yes.
you. And the other question is regarding anger. Like, I myself have some periods when I feel really peaceful, no anger at all. And I think, oh, okay, Krishna has liberated me from anger. But then it comes every time again. And this anger is very strong and it's really painful. And here it's maybe easier. I'm here for a couple of weeks. I have association with lots of different devotees. But where I serve, we are a small temple. I'm every day with 2 or 3 devotees. We are together and someone tells something and I get emotional and I lose all intelligence and my anger is so strong and then I want to fight back. And do we just keep chanting, keep the process and it will go away, or is it something that we can do?
I mean, it's not that I have conquered also anger, but I will try to answer. So, certainly we have to keep following the principle, whatever we have received, and most important thing is that we have to be more conscious about these principles every time we are dealing with devotees, every time we are dealing with any situation. But as we hear, kāmesha, krodesha, it starts from kam. The krodh is the next step. First step is some desires which we have not fulfilled. When any desire, for example, we are in the queue of prasadam, and when we reach on the table, we see that rasgullas is finished. Or the main item is what we generally like to eat is not there because they were cooked, but we were late, or they are not cooked enough. So sometimes that also gives anger. So these are the small desires in any form which gives us anger. So gradually living in a devotee association and like this honest admission as you did will take you a long way ahead, because the most important challenge we face is that we don't admit our shortcomings. The way you admitted, that is a very good sign of a devotee, that we admit our shortcomings, that I am facing this problem. Most of the time we don't even accept that I am facing a problem even. We will say, no, I never go angry, I am good, I am always peaceful, I am always calm. So, but when we stick to this principle of chanting, for reading Prabhupada books, associating devotees, and mostly doing some services. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to be engaged in 6 to 8 hours some services. If you don't do service, like specifically for the devotees who reside in the dham, if you don't do some practical services, it is very difficult to survive. Like, again, I will quote Narendra Krishna Prabhu. He is already 80 years plus, right? 80? You are 80 years now? 82. But morning he is on the altar for 3 hours. Now again he is come for the class for 2 hours. He is always engaged. This engagement in Krishna consciousness, because this is what we ask for. When we are chanting, we ask for seva. So every single devotee, like this Prabhu is doing service in the devotee kitchen, whatever. I'm not sure about all because I'm not related to everybody, but whomever I know here I'm telling, this practical engagement in services is very helpful to conquer these anarthas. So if we are struggling with anything, we have to try to be more absorbed in things we are doing. And as you did today, an honest admission with the group of devotees, and certainly with the support of devotees, with the blessings of devotees, we will be able to overcome these anarthas. But we generally also try to tell that we should not focus more on the anarthas, we should try to focus more on Krishna. Like on the field, we should focus on the main things, not on the other things. So focusing more on Krishna will help us to remove all the anarthas from our life. But if we are overly conscious about our things of anarthas, kam, krodh, then we are always disturbed whole day. So that is also not good. So it is very, very important to keep the mind engaged in the service of the Lord. That might help. If somebody else can help also, any other answer to this question of how to control this anger, Anybody want to add anything? Yes? Prabhu can speak.
One time, devotees saying that Prabhupada, there was fruit on a plate, and lots of ants gone into it.
Mm-hmm.
So Prabhupada, he said, can I wash them? Prabhupada said, no, they won't eat too much. Let them eat. That's okay. Next time you put down the boat, like put the water around and then put it in the middle, then they won't be able to get there. But now don't bother them. So that's what it is. It's their share, they are taking there.
Right. Good. So basically any situation, what I understood from Prabhu's answer, any situation that is created is Krishna's arrangement. So if the ant were eating the fruits, Prabhupada was not disturbed about it. He told that let them eat it. They will not eat much. So this understanding that Krishna is arranging all the situations will also help a great way to do away with the anger we have or any other anarthas. Yes.
Thank you very much. If I can just ask, this is very helpful. And when you speak of service, we need also to pray Krishna to give us strength to do service, right?
That we are praying when we are chanting.
Yeah.
That is the process. Chanting means praying Radharani for service, that we get more and more service for the Lord.
So I noticed that I lack desire to serve. But when I think I should pray also for this desire, but then I think, this is a little bit, I don't know if I should do it because desire should come from me. It's a little bit awkward should I ask for Krishna to give me the desire to serve him or not?
Yeah. So as I understand from this is, when we are diseased and a doctor is prescribing a medicine, we have to take it. Now the desire to take medicine is there or not is not very important. Generally we don't have a desire to take medicine. But now we know that we are diseased, and if we don't take medicine, we will be more diseased. So the cure is to serve Krishna. Even if there is no desire, you have to serve. Otherwise, how will the disease go away? Even if there is no desire to serve, still you have to serve. Otherwise, you are in a bigger trouble. So we can't wait that Krishna will arrange that desire to serve. He has already told, that is why you are chanting, you are in this Swarupa. Shavan had, tilak, left your country, came to Vrindavan. So you cannot tell that you don't have desire. You already have a lot of desire. But just keep remaining in the process gives lot of, so utsaha, nischaya, dharya, these three is important, that is continuous. Mind will give challenges every time, but we should have that enthusiasm to continue on the path. Because if we think that, Krishna has arranged this situation that I should not serve, is not a very good idea. Because when you are chanting, you are asking for seva, so services are there. Thank you. Jai Shila. Oh, okay, yes, Mataji. Last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the class. You also mentioned that when we are living in big cities, it's not so easy to understand the dependence of the Lord, right? And when we are in this simple farmland, it's actually far easier to depend on nature and to depend on the Lord. Do you have any advice for those of us living in the city and not being able to go to a temple daily because we don't have a temple that's open daily? How do we cultivate that dependence in that particular situation?
Very good question. So for people, So her question is that, as we discussed in the class, that it is difficult to feel the presence of the Lord living in an artificial city life, and when we live on the land, we can relate more with Krishna's system, Krishna's manifestation. So what should the devotees living in cities do in that case? What practical steps they can take so that they can feel related. So what I have understood is, if we try to depend only on things which is coming from land for our survival, at least that we can do, that enhances our consciousness to a very great extent. Like when I started to follow this principle in the year 2015-16, when I first heard about this, that we should live on land and serve cows and produce our own food and live a life of land and cows. So I was also in the city, so this struck to my mind, and then in discussion with devotees, we realized that living in the city, if we try to survive just consuming farm produce, not on factory products, that will enhance our consciousness very fast. And it happened. So when we stopped using everything that come from the factory, like what we were eating was all vegetables, fruits, and grains which are not processed. Just following this simple principle, milk in the city is all processed. So we cannot consume that because nothing is ahimsa, nothing comes without processing. So milk product were already out. So we followed this for a few years, and then in 2019 I got an opportunity to purchase land. And then I purchased my own land. So just from near to my city, near from my temple, half a kilometer away, 30 minutes away, 30 minutes drive, we got a land, we made a house there, we started producing our things. So this desire which you just showed now, what you can do, so this is what we can do. But today we are used to be consuming all products. Everything that is packed is a product. It is not produced. It is not coming from the land. So we should be depending on produce, not on products. That will make us very healthy. So when we did this, my mother is off all medicines. She was taking blood pressure medicine. Now she is on 0 medicine. She is totally fit and fine. This is a miracle of Krishna's creation. So we decided to depend on Krishna's system, just consuming produce. So like we will eat tomatoes, but not the ketchup which is available in them, because that is a product. So that was out. We will eat sugar cane, dates, but not sugar, because that is a product. It is coming from the factory. So we are supporting Ugra Karma by doing this. When we consume factory product, we are supporting industry. We are supporting industrialization. That is against the principles of Bhagavatam. That is against Krishna's system. So when you get connected to more of industrial product, your consciousness is gradually damaging. Consciousness is getting damaged. But when you stay away from that, you are protecting your consciousness. And slowly, slowly, then Krishna will arrange more things for you, and one day you will be also living on the land. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Granthāraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki.